Hello everyone, my name is Desiree David and I will be presenting my kindergarten sequencing lesson. So the learning target for this lesson or the objective is I can identify, illustrate, and label the beginning, middle, and end of the Three Pigs. So I chose the Three Pigs because it's a classic fable loved by many children. I believe it never gets old, and since it's a favorite, I really believe that this would help with student motivation and student engagement. So my lesson is for 5 to 6 year old kindergarten students, and the Common Core learning standards for this lesson is the reading standard for literature for kindergarten. With prompting and support, ask and answer questions about key details in a text. With prompting and support, identify the characters, setting, and major events in the story. So for the lesson procedure, I will introduce my lesson with a whole group discussion on the rug about story sequence or the order of things that happen in the story. I will ask students if they've ever read a story that had a lot of things that happened in the story. I'll ask some questions like, what happened at the beginning? What happened in the middle? How did the story end? What did the characters end up doing to solve their problem? And I'll explain that after we practice sequencing a short story all together, we're going to read The Three Pigs as a class and then put that story in order by creating our own pictures. So I'll sort of motivate them and get them excited in that way. So for my model, I'll display 4 mixed up sequencing cards of a girl building a sandcastle on the beach. And I'll tell the events of the story out of order. So I'll say, the girl put the starfish at the top of her sandcastle. She gathered her sand. She started to build and she was almost finished. So I'll tell it in a wacky way, very silly, very out of order. And I'll elicit responses. Did that make sense? What order do you think the story should be? What do you think the girl did first? Which part comes next? What do you think she did last at the end? And when the students have answered accurately, I'll place the first 2 cards up on the board. So she's gathering her sand, and she started to build the castle. So these are the 2 beginning cards. And then for the guided practice, I'll call on up to 2 students to finish sequencing the story using the 2 remaining cards. She continued and finished her castle, and at the end, she put the starfish on the top, and her castle was complete. Now, after that guided model is finished, I will introduce the independent practice. So for the application of the lesson or the independent work portion, I'll begin by reading The Three Pigs by David Wisner. I don't have the actual material with me because school's out for the summer, so I don't have access to my classroom. So this is a printout of the book cover. So I'll read The Three Pigs by David Wisner. While I'm reading, I will have students, recall the main events that have happened in the story so far. And then at the end of the story, when I'm all done, I will review with the students the key events that happened in the story by asking literal and evaluative comprehension questions, such as who were the characters in the story, what was the character's problem in the story or problems, how did the pigs solve their problem? How do you think the pigs felt when the wolf kept blowing their house down? How did the pigs finally solve their problem at the end of the story? when I'm finished asking those comprehension questions, I'll offer students several scenes from the book, from the story, like out of order. The pigs ran to the straw house. The pigs said goodbye to their mom. The pigs ran to the brick house. They both climbed up the chimney. And then I'll explain to students that when they get back to their seats, they're going to use these important scenes from the story and put them in order on their own on their sequencing sheet using the boxes. They're going to draw and label what happened in the beginning, what happened in the middle, and what happened at the end of the story. So they'll draw their pictures in the boxes, and for the students who are able to, they will label what they drew. So if they drew the pigs saying goodbye to their mom, they'll write that in the beginning. They'll draw that in the beginning and write saying bye to mom, or maybe label bye mom in a speech bubble. The middle could be the three pigs built their houses out of straw, sticks, and brick, and draw three houses perhaps. And then the end would be the wolf tried to blow down the brick house, but was unable to do so because it was a sturdy, strong house. So in order to differentiate for this activity, lower achieving students will have modified expectations of their independent activity. So instead of writing labels and sentences, they will be expected to draw the beginning, the middle, and the end of the three pigs, and then verbally share their activity with me. So they'll dictate what they drew and tell the story, or tell what they drew from the beginning through the end. There will also be ability grouping for this activity during the Literacy Center rotations, so that students will get the proper attention and the time that they need from me and from whatever the other teacher that's there. Advanced students, or students that finish the activity early, will receive a second sequencing sheet, same idea, same sheet, but they will be prompted to sequence their favorite fairy tale or their favorite fable of their choosing, using the same instructions. Draw and label the beginning, the middle, and the end. And then to close the lesson at the end, I'll invite up to 3 students to take turns sharing their activity. So sequencing what happened in the beginning, middle, and end, but sharing what they drew, their perspective. And then, that's it. I'm going to assess this activity by circulating during the rotation, circulating during the activity, and taking anecdotal notes of student achievement. And then I'll use that data to inform the lessons that will follow this activity on story sequencing and retelling. And I'll also allow the students to practice this skill during, guided reading, a phonics block, and other ELA blocks throughout the day, so they're still getting that consistent practice with comprehending, retelling key details, and sequencing stories that they have just read. And that's it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to my lesson, and have a good day.